Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to DG Capital. Today, let's talk about the CERB update, the transition from CERB to EI, and how you can estimate your tax liability on CERB. So let's get into it. The federal government plans to transition those on the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, or known as CERB, to the Employment Insurance EI program, as the $80 billion CERB program wraps up this fall. The federal government plans to create a transitional parallel benefit that is like EI for those who do not qualify for unemployment insurance because they may be contract or gig workers. This parallel benefit will include access to training, being able to work more hours, and earn money while on this new transitional benefit. The last scheduled payment for CERB is September 26, 2020. The goal of CERB was to provide $2,000 every 4 weeks for those impacted by the current economic environment due to COVID-19. The maximum times this benefit can be collected is 6, meaning you can collect 6 4-week payments of CERB for $2,000, which would equal $12,000 if you collected the maximum. According to reports, almost a quarter of Canadians have collected at least one CERB payment throughout this period. That just goes to show you the extent of the economic impact experienced because of COVID-19. The federal government has also mentioned that there will be a caregivers and sickness benefit for those who contract the virus or have a family member who contracts the virus but do not have paid leave coverage from their employer, so they can take advantage of this new benefit. Those worried that EI premiums will go up because of this transitional program to EI, the Prime Minister has mentioned that this will not be the case, which is good news for those paying EI premiums. Now that we know that CERB is ending later this fall, let's find out how much tax we can expect to pay on the CERB payments when 2020 taxes are due next year. For those collecting this $2,000 benefit every 4 weeks, this is not tax-free. You may have to pay tax on it. This means that based on your own unique personal tax situation, you will have to pay back a percentage when taxes are due for 2020. So rather than end up with an unexpected tax bill, let's get ahead of the curve and plan accordingly. If you have collected CERB, you will likely get a tax slip from the CRA detailing the amount of CERB you've been collecting during the benefit period. For our purpose, in order to calculate the tax liability on CERB, we can add up the payments we've received so far, or the payments we expect to receive, and along with our total expected employment or self-employment income, we can get an idea, based on our marginal tax rate, what our CERB tax liability may be. For illustration purposes, in the examples I'm about to show you, I'm not going to factor in any tax credits or tax deductions because this varies person to person based on their own unique tax situation. I would rather overestimate my tax liability than underestimate. So let's start off with our first example. Let's say you made $40,000 of employment income during the year and you collected the maximum CERB benefit of $12,000. That would make your total taxable income $52,000. Your tax liability depends on which province or territory you live in, along with the federal tax rate. For this example, let's use Ontario. The $52,000 of income would put you in the second bracket, where the marginal tax rate is 29.65%. To calculate our tax liability on the $12,000 of CERB, we would simply take that $12,000, multiply it by the marginal tax rate of 29.65%, giving us a tax liability of $3,558. This means that close to a third of your CERB has to go back to the government. For my next example, let's look at BC. And let's say you worked part-time, you earned $20,000 in the first few months of 2020 before you were permanently laid off because of COVID-19. During the benefit period, let's say you collected the maximum $12,000 of CERB, and after the program ended, you found another job and earned an additional $10,000, meaning the $20,000 from the first half plus the $12,000 of CERB plus the $10,000 will give you total taxable income of $42,000 in BC. This $42,000 of total taxable income in BC would also put you in the second tax bracket, but this time your marginal tax rate would be 22.7%. Let's multiply the $12,000 by 22.7%, giving us a CERB tax liability of $2,724, meaning close to a quarter of your CERB now goes back to the government. Now, if you would rather not go through the hassle of trying to figure out your tax bracket and your marginal tax rate and just want an easy ballpark figure to use to calculate your CERB tax liability, I got you covered because I've done the math for you. You can use this grid I've prepared for you in order to determine how much you need to set aside to cover your tax liability on CERB. On the top row, you'll see the potential amount of CERB available during the benefit period. On the y-axis, I've put down a range of percentages that will cover bulk of the scenarios out there to help you estimate the tax liability. The more income you think you'll end up with in 2020, use the higher end of the range. And if you think you did not earn much in 2020, then feel free to use the lower end of the range. So let's say you collected $8,000 of CERB. And by your estimate, 25% should be sufficient to cover your tax liability for CERB. That would give you an estimated $2,000 you need to set aside to pay back to the government. The main point of the chart is to get you thinking about the tax side of CERB, because it's not a tax-free benefit. Because you may not get to keep the entire benefit you've been collecting, because a portion of it has to go back to the government. The government needs to recover a portion of this $80 billion package to help lessen the deficit. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts about the CERB transitional program in the comments below. Finally, please share this video to support the channel so I can keep creating content like this. And I'll talk to you guys next one.